What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of DiabloCast, your Diablo 3 podcast. Here, of course, as always, we will be keeping you up to date on all things Diablo-related. Kevin, I'm not happy either. We'll tell them why we're not happy. This is our second time recording DiabloCast today. We recorded it earlier, and we had a super major fail, so we had to reconvene and get right back on this. But you know what? That's fine. We'll just truck right through it. So how you doing today, Kevin? Besides that?
Not bad. Just working on some homework, but I guess this is more important.
I suppose. Yeah, you got some super important stuff to do. But we will churn our way through the Diablo news, keep you guys informed as always. And of course, I will introduce myself. I am Dennis Force Duhamel. I'm sure you know that already. And of course, with me, I've got Kevin Sixen Carlino. And today's topics, we're going to be discussing the newly available SteelSeries headset, Star Cow, little jokes from Blizzard, undocumented patch changes that you may have missed for the patch number 5 that went through in the beta, discussion of the random money auction house joining the beta at some point in the future, hardcore requirements, a possible Diablo 3 demo, and then lastly, we'll be talking about why you like Diablo 3. If you even do. I mean, who likes Diablo, really? No one likes Diablo. All right, let's go ahead and get things started with our first topic. All right, so it is going to be the SteelSeries headset is now newly available. Now, we have known about this for quite some time, the headset itself. We have been fully aware of it for a while now. It's just recently been made available over on the SteelSeries site. So you, of course, will want to head on over to SteelSeries.com, and you can just go ahead and actually search through their Diablo-specific products, if you will, and you should actually find this. So the headset's now available for purchase. And we actually got to take a look at this at BlizzCon, Kevin. You liked it, right?
Yeah, I actually really liked it. I mean, the headset, it's big, but it's not too big. It kind of gets around my ears and does what it's supposed to do. I mean, the headset I have right now is kind of crappy. It's something like 8 years old, but I mean, it gets the job done. It's just after I'm done wearing it for about an hour, it makes my head want to explode. So sure. I need something new.
Yeah, it was from what I remember too, it was really comfortable, nice comfortable earpiece, and it's also got, I mean, this is completely unnecessary, but it's got the cool little light up effects on the side.
Yeah, I know. I can't even see because it's on the side of my head, but whatever.
Well, if someone happens to be watching you play, then they're all set.
Yeah,
basically.
they'll know that crazy shit's going on.
It's actually, that's a pretty interesting decision. One thing I do wonder, this is kind of really random, but I wonder what the trigger is for the light up effect, because I know like on the StarCraft headset, it's all based off of APM, but obviously that's not going to be the case here for this headset.
I mean, it could be, just constant clicking, so then it would just stay glowed all the time. It would just be lit up 24/7.
Right.
I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool headset, and certainly something worth taking a look at. I'll probably end up picking it up at some point, and again, as Kevin said, he has got a crappy headset, so he wants to replace that.
Yeah, I mean, every time I move my head, if I kind of do a quick one, you hear like popcorn. That was from the very first one we ever did. That was my bad, I guess, but whatever. I'm hoping I can get hooked up. Back in the
day, some nostalgia, all of us. That was so long ago. That's crazy.
Yeah.
We've come a long way. What is this number? What's it, number 32?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. All right. 32 and still failing and having to redo podcasts. Who would have figured?
Right, so technically this is like, what, 35?
This is probably somewhere around 35, yeah. All right, so next up we have got mention of the Star Cow, and actually this is something that we kind of talked about last week, the secret beta, what is it, the secret beta code? Is that what we called it? Is that what we referred to it as?
Yeah, and it was like, the secret that everyone wants to know or something like that.
Right. And it was basically you enter it into, if you have the Diablo 3 beta, you would enter this into a secret little click area, the cheat code, and no one really knew what it popped up, but now we know it's a flying cow.
Yep, Nyan cow.
Nyan cow, yes, Nyan cow indeed. And I mentioned this in our previous recording of this very podcast, that I feel like we're going to be like, I just hope we don't miss stuff, because we thought we said it, but we said it in the podcast. It doesn't actually come available. Actually,
that will be like, hey, like I was saying before. Oh wait, nobody knows. They didn't hear that.
Something really cool, actually, that I just kind of clicked in my head. If you look at the image that pops up for the Diablo 3 beta box, That's like Super Mario.
Yeah, that's what I thought the first
The
time.
pull off of what
It's way similar to Super Mario.
Yeah, that's
Super Mario World or Super Mario Bros. It's whatever one's for Super Nintendo back in the day.
right. I'm pretty sure that's directly what it's from. So that's pretty cool. I like how they're mixing all these things together. They've got the Nyan Cat theme there. They've got, of course, the cow from Diablo 2. There's no cow level, and then a little Super Mario thrown into the mix as well. That's nice. That's pretty cool. But anyways, obviously this is absolutely useless. This is nothing. This is of zero importance. And it doesn't make a difference, so we can stop talking about it. But it's just something we wanted to bring up because we did talk about it during that last podcast. So something, I suppose, that's worth mentioning. Just Blizzard trolling everybody. What else is new?
Yeah, right.
What else is new? Oh. All right, so next up, we're going to be actually mentioning some undocumented patch changes that took place. Essentially, there were some alterations to abilities and spells that didn't actually make it through on the patch notes for patch number 5. Now, Kevin, are you interested in running through this?
Yeah, sure, okay. Sure.
I'm gonna pull up the list actually from the Diablo fans site, but
okay, yeah. Here, let me give you the link then. So basically,
I have it, yeah, we're all set.
Oh wow, on top of things. I'm proud of you, Dennis.
I suppose for the second time around, we should be.
Yeah, right. Well, so basically, we're assuming these were undocumented because none of these were actually going to be able to experience in the beta. Pretty much the only way we were able to see any of this was just by highlighting over it and or comparing the files, which we're not allowed to do because of the terms of use and whatnot says we can't do. So we didn't do that.
No data mining, essentially.
Yeah.
So
essentially, it was just a bunch of stuff, skills and passives that were added and or changed for all the classes. Nothing more or nothing less. So with the Barbarian, let's see, unmentioned modified skills. We've got Inspiring Presence, Earthquake, and Overpower. These were pretty much just balanced for damage and whatnot.
Yeah.
No big deal, just fine-tuning based on the internal testing they were doing, because they have the full client internally. Pretty sweet. I'm kind of jealous, but whatever. Demon Hunter. Let's see, we have Night Stalker and we have Numbing Traps added at level 16 and 21, and these are both passives, not skills. They're passives. So Night Stalker allows you to... It helps fuel up your discipline. So every time you get a critical hit, you gain 1 discipline. Simple enough. Numbing Traps, what this does is basically reduces the armor by 30% for 3 seconds when you use particular skills like Phantom Knives, Spike Trap, and Caltrops.
Very
Sorry
cool.
about that.
No, it's all right. Go
sorry.
ahead. Do what you gotta do.
Yeah, I'm not feeling that great. I kind of had to stop and cough for a sec. I didn't want to let everybody hear me cough.
You coming down with something, Kev?
Unprofessional. Yeah, I'm not feeling that great.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Tell your girlfriend to make you some chicken soup.
Yeah, she's not feeling that great either.
Tell someone else to make both of your chickens.
Yeah, right. All right, so now we've got the monk. Not that much for the monk. Oh well, poor guy. He's got just one new passive that was added, Combination Strike, level 21. This changes the spirit generation, and it pretty much just increases your damage for a couple seconds, basically allowing you to gain more spirit because more damage you're doing, good stuff happens.
Right.
Moving on to the Witch Doctor, a couple new skills, a couple new passives. We have Gruesome Feast, Vermin, and Fierce Loyalty, 3 new skills. Again, just modified and changed when not adjusted, fine-tuned based on their internal testing. New passives, Bad Medicine, Spirit Vessel, and Fetish. Okay, now how would you like me to pronounce this time? Sycophants or Sycophants?
I think it's Sycophants.
Yeah, we went through this.
It doesn't. Not that it really matters, but anyways, go ahead.
All right, so Bad Medicine at level 18, Spirit Vessel at 20, and then Fetish, whatever you want to call it, at 21. And they kind of just do some cool stuff. Bad Medicine... it does the same thing as the Demon Hunter skill, reduces armor when you do poison damage. Spirit Vessel, this is... Okay.
Reduces,
Spirit Vessel is the
reduces their damage, just to clarify, by the way. It doesn't reduce their armor, it reduces the damage that they deal.
Damage.
Yeah, whenever...
Oh, I got that backwards, I'm sorry.
It's alright, but yeah, it's...
There's damage taken.
That's actually pretty awesome. That's huge. I mean, 40% damage mitigation. That's pretty ridiculous.
Okay.
In all
yeah,
honesty.
and the Demon Hunter one is the same way. It's their damage is reduced, not damage taken.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my bad. I got that backwards.
No big deal.
Let's see. So, Fetish Sycophants, whenever you cast a physical realm spell, it gives you a chance to summon a fetish. Pretty sweet.
Nice.
Kind of like the other one that we were talking about last week.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's actually... To add on to that, somebody was saying that there's a max of 4, so you can only have the 3 that you summon plus the 1.
No, really? That's lame.
Yeah, that's what somebody was saying. I mean, I didn't get a chance to test it myself. But
I hope that's not maybe because it's a earlier version. I feel like maybe when you level up, that might scale higher. I certainly hope so, because a max of 4 with that, it'd make that passive kind of like you know what I mean? But if you could potentially have like 10 zombie dogs when you're clearing rooms and everything's dying, then it all of a sudden it'd be worth it, to pick up that passive. I would be really disappointed if it was that lame, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I want to have like 25 of them running around,
Right. Well, especially, since passives are supposed to be so heavy, they're supposed to be so kind of weighty in terms of like, how beneficial it is, that it's got to be more than that eventually, because otherwise that's a really lame passive to take. You only get 3 slots, Yeah,
actually, you're right. I mean, just having zombie dog isn't really that big of a deal, especially when you already have 3. I guess it's a 33% increase, but
yeah, but
it's
still,
really not huge.
No, I wouldn't say it is either. So, all
right. And then, all right, moving on to the wizard, we've got one unmentioned skill and a new passive. We have Arcane Dynamo, which is the skill. Again, just fine-tuned, and the new passive is Conflagration. This just adds, I believe, fire damage. It adds burning effects to fire damage spells. So basically, I don't even know a fire skill off the top. Okay, Meteor. So when you cast Meteor, it has a chance to add burning effect, which is just a fire damage over time on that particular monster.
I like that too.
For fire, yeah, it's pretty cool.
15% dot over 3 seconds. I mean, that's pretty hefty. So.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, and I mean, it's kind of a. Now we have something similar to the Witch Doctor's poison skills, so
right,
it's pretty
right,
pretty cool. Yeah, I guess while we're still on this topic, I did want to throw in some of the stuff that we were talking about last week. We were talking about Impale with the Demon Hunter, how it's no longer a bow effect or a bow skill, which and you and I both agreed on this. It's kind of lame, but at the same time, it's pretty cool because it allows me to, if I wanted to, make a bowless Demon Hunter. So now I can just focus on making a melee Demon Hunter, and this would be one of the skills that I would use. It's a hatred generator, so I could just spam cast this and generate hatred and never have to worry about being depleted. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, Blizzard kind of needs to fine-tune this, I believe, or at least I think, because you can just spam cast this and it just generates hatred. What we had said earlier today in our last podcast.
We're going to keep going back to that.
Yeah, right? Well, because it's like I feel like I've already said all this once.
Yeah, I know. It was rehearsal. We were rehearsing
right?
for the real thing.
Yeah. Was that Impale should basically just generate hatred on successful hits, which would mean that I can no longer spam this spell when I'm outside of combat, which would fix the problem, I guess. I don't really want to call it a bug because we don't know if this is intended. So.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that I certainly, since that's how the barbarian functions in generating their resource, it would make a lot of sense that if they were to kind of make that.
Oh, right. You're right. I don't want to. We're forgetting stuff because we did talk about this too, and I was saying that we should be able to target destructibles with this.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, no, I think that it does seem kind of odd that you can generate the resource without physically hitting anything by just spamming it in the air. But I mean, this could very well be something that they're going to change, or that's maybe changed in their version of the beta, since we are removed from actually the current, so.
Right, yes. And while we're on the topic of classes in general, I kind of wanted to say that I really like the new spell system with the Demon Hunter, Witch Doctor, and Wizard, how it's all based on weapon damage and weapon speed. I feel like it just feels really nice. It's great to play. I mean, the Demon Hunter was actually fun this time around. Mm-hmm. I remember when I played the Demon Hunter the first time around, I was just getting pissed off because I was constantly having to worry about using my my normal attack, and Demon Hunter was the only class I couldn't spam spells. So
yeah.
It's nice now. I never have to worry about. Well, I guess I do have to worry about it, but at least now I have the potential to generate resource. But I personally have been using Impale. I think that's a sweet skill.
Yeah, and I would definitely agree with the sentiment that on the second playthrough, the second go-around, that this playthrough of the Demon Hunter is definitely much more enjoyable than it was initially when we first got the beta, because there really was a huge issue with being depleted of that resource, so it was kind of very frustrating to deal with. Auto attacking isn't really something that's fun, and that's pretty much why they got rid of it, because they're like, hey, people don't like to auto attack, so we're going to make sure that you don't run out of the resource, pretty much. So
yeah, right. And I don't know, I felt like the Barbarian was way overpowered in prior to patch 5, and I know that the Barbarian hasn't really changed much, if any, but I don't know. When I was playing the barbarian, I was just constantly dying. I mean, I ran out of health potions, so I really had no way of healing other than killing stuff and trying to maneuver my way in, grab the health globe without getting hit too much to actually, get killed. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I mean, I'm not a huge barbarian player. I'm just leveling up all the classes just so I can level them all up to max level and know what I'm talking about for these things. But I mean, I'm primarily going to play wizard. Maybe a little bit of witch or demon hunter and monk, just because they're pretty sweet. But again, I mean, my main is the wizard. I don't know. I'm not huge into that.
I would basically I would say that it feels about the same. I think that the only major thing is that in my first playthrough I was just kind of like, whoa, this is kind of harder than I remember. But it was pretty much entirely due to the fact that I just wasn't using gear hand-me-downs. I guess that's basically what my thought process was. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is pretty much basically because of the fact that I don't have hand-me-downs like I did before, and that's the main reason for it. But I'll agree with what you said as well. That I think that the after playing around with it, that the change to have abilities based 100% off weapon damage, I think that's good. And certainly for balancing issues, I think it'll make things much easier. In a lot of RPGs, you run into the problem always that melee seems to have issues come later stages of the game because they are so gear dependent. But now everyone's just as weapon and gear dependent because all damage is based off of weapon damage. So everyone needs a good weapon. You can't have casters just doing using just base stats off of armor and doing a ton of damage. They need a solid weapon as well. So
that actually makes a lot of sense because now they can just worry about balancing items as opposed to having I'm sure they're going to balance classes as well. But my point is, when they want to do something across the board, they just mess with an item.
Exactly.
Or, a series of items, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So that's good. I mean, I think that'll again make things a little bit better, a little bit less problematic when it does come to those balancing issues. So I think that pretty much all of the undocumented changes there.
Yeah, I just had two extra things.
Go ahead.
This was just based on monsters. The mortar monsters. Oh, actually, yeah. The spell effects are kind of non-existent. Looks like art assets or something or other are missing. Some kind of image is missing because it kind of just looks like a big purple splash. And we talked about that this afternoon.
Yeah.
And then enchanted monsters. That I definitely did want to mention that again. It's no longer the enchanted monsters when they die. They no longer drop the three-headed hydra that shoots arcane orb or whatever.
The arcane enchant, yeah.
Now it's like just like a little arcane orb ball thingy that shoots out like a disintegrate blast kind of a thing, and it just circles in a 360. It's kind of weird, but I mean, I guess I'm glad at the same time because I mean, arcane enchanted monsters were ridiculously overpowered. But, I mean, they did make the adjustment. We were talking about this last week. I remember you were saying that you couldn't find the blue posts that said that they're going to change it, and it wasn't in the patch notes, but definitely got changed.
Yeah.
It's different. I mean...
It's odd. I feel it's really odd looking. It's I don't know what to make of it because it's just like, I don't know why. It reminds me of a disco for some reason. It's just this big purple beam. It's spinning around. And I feel like every time I've encountered it too, there's all of a sudden, like, there's nothing. And then there's 10 purple beams on the ground spinning around in circles. And I feel entirely confused about it. You walk up to a pack and there's always, it's never just one. There's always, there's always like
minions.
Yeah, there's always those little minions there with them as well. And and out of nowhere, I'm dealing with a ton of these ridiculous freaking spinning.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna pull up a little video of it, but I mean, in this video, they show there's like 5 of them. Yeah, but look, no, you know what? It's not. It's not at a disco. It's at like a rave. That's what it is.
I've never been to a rave before, Dennis.
This is what it's like. There's giant spinning purple beams. This is exactly what it's like, and with the exception of the zombies. But maybe I suppose you could consider.
Right.
Doped up people as zombies. I don't know.
That they should just use like one singular Hydra and just have the one Hydra shoot because then it makes more sense. It's like, oh, this Hydra is spinning around 360. It's going to kill me with this little beam coming out of its mouth. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a suggestion, so.
It's, yeah, there's got to be, why is there nothing? Why is it just a beam spinning? It's confusing to me. I think that's what it is.
It just appears and starts. I mean, at least with the other stuff, they explode. Like molten monsters, they die. And same with ice enchanted. They die. It leaves like a little orb of whatever it is that they're enchanted with, so ice or
Right.
fire, and then it just explodes with that kind of damage, which makes sense. But I mean, when you kill an enchanted monster, it leaves a purple orb, and then it just starts shooting like disintegrate in a circle. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, I like the new mechanics, whatever functionality, but I feel like the visuals need to just be fixed up a little bit.
Something.
Like I said, I mean, something that I don't know. Again, Hydra Head. I think that'd be pretty sweet.
Yes, that'll do it. That'll work. All right, so still on the topic of the beta, during the conference call that recently took place, it was earlier this week, I believe. You said, I think it was the 8th, is that?
Yes,
okay.
I believe so.
So earlier this week during the conference call, of course, Activision Blizzard investor conference call, as always, they do this consistently throughout the year, keeping people up to date in terms of future plans and projections and everything, and things that may actually affect the investors. We were hoping for a release date. Didn't happen. We didn't get that news. But we got the information that the Real Money Auction House will be coming to the Diablo 3 beta. And perplexing as it may be, I think we have, when I first heard this news, I was like, okay, so they expect us to spend money on items in the beta that are going to get cleared. How does this make any sense? But I think, Kevin, you have a better, probably more likely explanation to how they plan to implement this, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just assuming. I don't know exactly, but it would make sense to me if they just gave us free e-balance points, or they gave us free listings with the potential to make e-balance. Well, actually, they'd have to give us e-balance points to purchase stuff as well. But I mean, again, it all harkens back to the e-balance. Blizzard's probably just going to have us test the e-balance just by giving us, X amount of points, let us play around with it, just test the system out. From what I remember in the screenshots, I believe from BlizzCon of the auction house, was that when we're actually buying an item, is when we decide how we want to purchase it, either through real money or the e-balance. Or actually, I'm sorry, when we receive an item we purchased. Nope, third time's the charm. When we sell an item, we can choose to have it either go into our e-balance or cash it out. And that is what I'm assuming, we'll be testing, because they'll probably just gray out the whole cash out thing and have it go straight into our e-balance. And again, just testing this whole e-balance system. I'm assuming that it's going to work similarly. Although, I mean, again, I'm hoping that they would test out the stuff with PayPal, because I don't want to see people getting ripped off or anything accidentally. I mean, obviously Blizzard doesn't need an extra $5, but I mean, I don't want to see the system. Right. I mean, I don't know. Call of Duty Elite just came out with Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3. That hasn't been looking too bright.
They're having a whole host of issues there with the.
I guess they weren't expecting as many people, which didn't that happen with StarCraft 2 or something like that?
That's perplexing that they wouldn't expect. I mean,
yeah, right.
To me, it seems like they should expect the high. I don't know. It seems odd that whatever.
That actually makes sense. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
but.
So I mean, that's been down lately, and they're trying to work on getting it back up. I mean, I'm really excited for it. I'm still going to use it. I'm not going to say, wow, Activision sucks. I mean, people make mistakes, but at the same time, I do think that they should have expected it. And bringing this back to Diablo, I don't want this kind of problem to happen, with the auction house, especially real money. People then have to worry about losing money. That doesn't seem too.
That could be an issue, yeah. That could certainly be a major issue. And it's interesting, because I would like to touch on this, since you just brought up Elite. Just the whole system here with, I mean, the investor conference call that just took place, plus the discussion of Elite, I think kind of segues right into this. The structure, the financial model, the structure behind the Blizzard games that we've been seeing. I mean, obviously with an MMO like WoW, the monthly subscription, that's not too far-fetched. That's pretty normal. But this Elite program for obviously for Call of Duty, which is part of the whole, Blizzard Activision, and then now seeing the Real Money Auction House, of course, now in Diablo 3, once that does come out. In fact, like we just mentioned, it's even going to be in the beta. It just makes you think that I think our expectation from this point forward as fans of Blizzard and as gamers should be that there will always be something of this nature in all of the major titles from this point forward. I mean, does that seem unreasonable to you? Does that? I feel like that's a pretty fair statement to make.
No, I completely agree with you. Actually, I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one, but speculating about Titan. I want to say that this kind of system is going to be in the Titan MMO. Blizzard has said that Titan's supposed to be a lot more casual, laid back. Diablo 3 is casual, laid back. At the same time, it's an MMO, and there's going to be an auction house. Obviously, I mean, how can there not be? But I mean, and again, I guess it depends on how they do the drops and the entire game mechanics and whatever however they decide to do everything. But at the same time, they could have a real money auction house because I don't know, they could just kind of use Diablo 3 and see how it goes. If it's really successful, which I'm assuming will be. I mean, there's a lot of people that are raging about it, whatever. But I just have the feeling that once people start to use it, nobody's going to really complain.
Yeah. And obviously there's pros that come with this. With Call of Duty Elite, there are new I don't know really, but there's like a whole slew of perks that you get from that, right?
Yeah, I mean Elite. I've actually been reading about it a bit. I've been playing a little bit of Call of Duty myself. There's two different versions of the Elite service. There's the paid for, subscription based, which I think you pay once a year and that's it. Basically, it's $60 and then you get all the DLCs for free. Or no, it's $50. Sorry. So you get, and normally the DLCs would be $60. So you're saving $10 in the long run. So you get any of the DLC map packs that they give, and then you get them in advance. So you get to beta test them pretty much. You also get some cool perks, like you get special camos on your guns and whatnot. Special, I don't know, whatever else. You could do different clan tags and stuff. You get cool clan functionality. So now you're probably wondering why we're even talking about this. This is Call of Duty and Activision. Nobody cares. Well, I mean, Blizzard made look at doing the same kind of a system.
Right.
If there is some kind of subscription-based, sure, you can play for free, but at the same time, if you subscribe, you get access to these cool features. Hell, they do that with the WoW Remote app. If you subscribe, you have access to Guild Chat. If you don't, you still have access to playing around with the app on your phone. You can still access the armory and whatever else, but you can't buy and sell items in the auction house. So, I mean, I feel like they may do something, again, maybe with Titan. Maybe they have free to play and pay to play. When you pay to play, you get cool little stuff that, again, I mean, vanity stuff like we were talking about for kind of a vanity store.
Yeah.
Maybe they do that with Titan.
Oh yeah, that certainly seems possible. And I guess I just wanted to make mention of it briefly because there's just so many signs pointing towards the fact that this is probably going to be a mainstay, some sort of extra paid service. But with it, we get longevity and support. The game's going to be around and supported much longer as long as the company here, Blizzard, is getting more money over time. It makes sense for them to continue to support it. And that's a good thing, knowing that Diablo 3 10, 15, 20 years down the road will still be supported because they're still getting residual income from the real money auction house, as opposed to this money going to third-party sites, and all of a sudden Blizzard's like, well, there's really no reason to support this game anymore because it's not really giving us any money, and I mean, they're a company first and foremost, so that's important to realize. But anywho, real money auction house coming to the beta, so keep an eye out for that. Next up, hardcore requirements. There has been some discussion about hardcore requiring a full playthrough. It is my understanding now, as of this moment, that in order to play hardcore, you are going to have to firstly play through the game on normal from start to finish, and then you will unlock hardcore, but this is not too far from what we've seen in the past, right? I mean,
correct.
So.
Diablo 2 had the same exact system. You had to complete the game on normal in order to make a hardcore character. A couple years after the release of both Diablo 2 and Lord of Destruction, they ended up just allowing anybody to make hardcore characters. I mean, I kind of feel like the point behind that was just, hey, we want you to play through the game. We don't want you to end up dying halfway through and having to start all over just to, experience the story. It makes sense because I can see that happening to some people, and Blizzard really wants people to play through the story. I mean, that's huge. Yes, the whole multiplayer aspect, but they want people to play through the story. That's what they're doing. This is supposed to tie up the series, in a nice little bow. So I guess we'll see how that goes.
And I think something else too to keep in mind is this is good in the sense that at least you'll know what to expect on your second playthrough. You play through you play through normal, and then you roll into your hardcore character, and now you know kind of the progression of the game. You know what you're up against, basically.
I'm glad that you bring that up. I think I remember seeing a forum post of somebody saying, well, there's got to be some kind of resurrect feature in hardcore. What if I run into a room and I just get killed by 15 different enemies and I didn't even know that they were there, and then all of a sudden I'm dead? Well, I mean, hardcore is hardcore, buddy. Sorry. But, I mean, yeah, I kind of agree with that because now at least oh, hey, I'm about to go into a boss's room and it's just going to be filled with his minions and I should be careful. Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah. No, I'll share that. I'll tip my hat to that as well. I am in full agreement with that. So yeah, in order to play hardcore, as far as we know, you're gonna have to roll through the game in normal first. But again, this is not like it's nothing that we've seen in the past. We're used to it, except it got patched out eventually But
yeah, I mean, I'm sure years down the road they might do the same thing with Diablo 3. But again, I mean, I personally feel like the point is, hey, experience the story, and then know what you're up against.
All right. Yep. There we go. Okay. Now, Diablo 3 demo. No, not anytime soon. Probably a few months after release, it is looking very likely. We got a quote from Bashock saying that they're probably going to be coming out with a Diablo 3 demo, much like they do. I'll just read this specifically. Bashock stating, "We're definitely looking into having a trial version at some point, as we do with World of Warcraft and StarCraft 2. And now the question at this point is, what type of content? What are we looking at for length here in terms of content? Any speculation there, Kevin, in terms of what we could expect once the beta hits for it to be?
Well, I mean, StarCraft 2 allows you to play, I think, the first 5 or so campaign levels, that's a couple of
That's a lot of time, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that's over an hour, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess it depends on what difficulty you play it on. I mean, there's 30 total campaigns, so I don't know. I wouldn't think about it like that. I think about it in in regards to the entirety of the campaign. So 5 out of 30, it was a solid sixth, whatever that percentage is, 12% or so. I mean, actually, let's look at it. Let's say that you get to play up to the King Leoric. Same with the beta. Is what the first third of the first act. Hey, I feel like this is going to work out really well. It's the first third of the first act, right? So then there's there's thirds for each act is 12. So that's only a 12th. Damn it. Okay, so maybe they'll let us play up to 2/3 of the first act. I mean, that's solid 1/6, 12% of the game as opposed to 6%. I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there.
And I think it's also important to note that the cutoff that we have now in the beta, it's primarily due to spoiler issues, but I feel like by the time a demo comes out, they're not going to be too concerned with worrying about spoilers. I mean, that stuff will be out there by that point. You know what I mean? In terms of storyline and what actually happens in the game. So I don't. In fact, if anything, I feel like they'd want to hit a major spoiler as a hook.
That's actually a good point.
You know what I mean?
Like, wow, this game isn't that great. You get to the Skeleton King, you kill him, you get and see what happens next. Oh shit! Now I gotta buy this game. Like, how can I not keep playing?
You're right.
That's a great point.
Yeah, and
I'm a smart guy.
I try. But yeah, no, that would make sense, and maybe not necessarily that exact thing, but they always want to leave you with like wanting more. That's the entire point, especially of a demo. That's the hook, line, and sinker sort of thing there. So.
And then I did want to throw this in. The cool thing about a Diablo demo would be that Blizzard, or at least it seems Blizzard, has kind of done away with the whole trial edition kind of a thing. Now they're calling it starter edition. So what they're doing for StarCraft 2 and WoW.
Right.
Back in the day, StarCraft 2, you had a 7-day trial or a 10-day trial, and same with WoW. And again, that just limited you to however far you get, with some restrictions in that amount. And now they kind of changed it to... Oh, go ahead, Dennis.
I was just going to say, I mean, there's obviously a huge inherent flaw with that. Like, what if you start your trial and then you have, like, a busy personal or work week? And then you're kind of, like, shit out of luck, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And now the style is that they pretty much just put a cap on the amount of content. So, like I said before, StarCraft 2 is, I believe, the first 5 levels, and some multiplayer levels, so you get a little taste of multiplayer over Battle.net. And then WoW, you get to play up to level 20, which we were also talking about earlier, is pretty up there, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you look at it like this, for the World of Warcraft, if you don't know anything about the game and you're first coming into the game for the very first time, going up to level 20 is actually a pretty significant amount of time, I would say. Now, obviously, for like seasoned WoW veterans, you can burn from 1 to 20 very quickly. But if you're first experiencing the game, you're probably meandering about, taking your time. And I would say you could spend probably a couple of hours going from 1 to 20, especially if you're really learning the game for the first time ever. So. Yeah. So I mean that's a fair amount of content in terms of what they give you for free, and yeah, I mean, with that said, if we're going to try to relate that to what we could possibly see in Diablo 3, I would feel like they would have to go past King Leoric because it's just so insignificant. In all honesty, the amount of content that
yeah, but I mean, then I guess we have to compare. Okay, about how many hours would it take to get to level 80 in WoW, and how many hours is it going to take for us to get to level 60 in Diablo 3? Although I guess that's not really the same, because in WoW you don't really repeat content. You play through, and all of a sudden you're level 80.
Yeah,
whereas Diablo 3, you're really only trying to get to 30, I guess.
And you're pretty much seen everything by 30. It's just things just get increasingly difficult, you know. But that's I mean, in terms of what there is to see, you pretty much have seen it all. Okay.
Right. So I mean, at that point, maybe they do only let us go to Leoric, or just right after Leoric, because I mean, again, how much of the game can they give us?
yeah, I guess that'd be funny. They're like, all right, here's Acts 1 through 4 on normal. Enjoy.
Yeah, right. I'm normal.
People are like, all right, Diablo is fun. What's next? Like, when's Guild Wars 2 coming out?
Yeah, right.
That's funny. Yeah, no, so it's cool though. Yeah, we can expect a Diablo 3 demo, and again, we expect it to follow along the same lines of how it did with StarCraft 2. Probably a few months. I don't remember exactly, but I think it was at least 2 or 3 months after.
Yeah, it was definitely a couple months post release.
Yeah.
Actually,
you trying to look it up right now?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I almost feel like Starter Edition for StarCraft 2. I mean, okay, they had a trial version right off the bat with StarCraft 2, but again, this was the timed, you know, the whole time thing. I believe the Starter Edition wasn't until, if my computer would load, August. Oh wow, it was a full year later. August 2011.
Really?
It was when they officially announced the Starter Edition. Yeah, I remember this just coming out a little bit recently, because in one of the recent patches, I think it might have been 1.4.0, was when they started allowing access to certain multiplayer maps. But again, they've had the whole free trial thing where you had 7 days to play prior to this. So, yeah. I mean, that came out with release. I remember, because I was an idiot and pre-ordered from Best Buy, I didn't get my game until like a week later because they wouldn't let me set my shipping preferences. So those of you that want to pre-order, make sure you use Amazon and not Best Buy.
It's your fault for being an idiot. So.
Yeah, I guess. So, I mean, my point here was that, not that I'm an idiot, but that I used the free trial just so I could play and, you know, post in the forums because I like interacting with the people.
Aw, that's nice. That's very nice of you. All right, well, yeah, that's it. So there you go. Some news about a possible demo coming sometime soon. In the future, not soon, sometime.
Soon
yeah,
release.
Exactly. There we go. All right, so now we're gonna be moving on to actually kind of what I'm really excited about to talk about in this particular podcast. Why do you like Diablo? Why do people like Diablo? What's the whole what's enjoyable about it? And this is specifically coming off the heels of course, you know, I'm sure you guys, if you watch my channel at all, you know, hey, Skyrim. There's a game called Skyrim. It just came out recently. So we look at Diablo and we look at things in its kin, you know, things that are like it. And by that I mean RPGs. For role-playing games, there's probably going to be a lot more than I'm going to list, but I'm going to say the following. We've got these open type of RPGs, which are very large and diverse. We're talking about the Elder Scrolls series. We're talking about games like Fallout. And then, of course, you've got the MMO RPGs, like, of course, World of Warcraft, or you could look at, like, the Conan, obviously back in the day. Yeah, Age of Conan, EverQuest, Ultima Online, like all these older, but the MMO type of RPG, and then you've got the very linear type of RPG experience, like the Lord of the Rings game that just came out. So there's all these different types of role-playing games, you know, set in this universe that you know, magic and wizards and dragons and all sorts of stuff like that. Obviously, Diablo's a little bit off from that because it's not so much about the wizards and the dragons, and it's more about angels and demons. But it's the same, you know, your
same concept.
Big burly warriors and your magic wielders and all that stuff like that, and your archer classes. So comparing Diablo to other RPGs, what is it about Diablo that you really enjoy? And we can just start with you, Kevin, if you want to give, like, what do you find about the Diablo franchise that you really like, that you really enjoy?
I mean, for me, I kind of just grew up with Diablo. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to just hang out and watch my dad play Diablo. He used to play with my uncles, and so we lived in New Jersey, and I had his two brothers. So the three of them played, and Diablo 1 was 4-player. So my mom's brother used to get in the action, and he lived in Arizona. So, I mean, he would constantly drop because we were playing on 56K modems. But I mean, the point there is
days, huh?
Yeah, right.
AOL dial-up, those little discs that you got in the mail. It was a great time.
Yeah. I think I still have a couple of them, to be honest. I mean, well, basically, it's been like a family thing. I mean, my dad played it, my uncles played it, even my mom got to playing it a bit. I used to just kind of hang out there, watch them play. I mean, I remember when he let me start playing, because I didn't have my own computer or anything. I had to, you know, ask if I course their computer as my parents' computer. We only had one. Mm-hmm. I mean, now everybody's got their own computer, but I mean, yeah. So I finally got the chance to play. Of course, my dad kind of had to help me because I had no idea what the hell I was doing. Again, I was like 5 or 6 years old, you know. So, I mean, for me, it's just been a family thing, and we all kind of grew up. I mean, I remember talking about how cool Diablo 2 was going to be. I mean, that was awesome. I remember, beta tests and whatnot came out. My dad was reading stuff about it. Oh, check this out. You can actually go inside buildings now. What? That's amazing. Like, you can hire people to fight for you? Like, how crazy is that? Like, I don't know. I mean, just cool stuff. Like, and I don't know. Again, it's been a family thing for me.
Right.
And, I mean, my cousins started playing. My little brothers got into it now. My cousins, my brothers, everybody's excited for Diablo 3. Should be pretty sweet. I am excited.
Oh, cool. Very cool. So I think I would agree with that too. Definitely, partially that this is not so much really my close family, but my friends, whom I'll consider family. Most certainly, the kids that I grew up with. We played games together, and Diablo was one of those. Even not like. There would be times where I'd go over to my friend's house and we'd take turns playing. But back when the internet was shoddy and you could never really rely on stuff like that would happen. So that's definitely part of it. I think another big part for me personally that draws me towards the Diablo series and something that I really like about it is the constant reward that you get for all of your actions, no matter what you do. And it's not even just picking up loot and picking up gold and breaking barrels and getting stuff, but even just the combat, every action is so enjoyable. Whenever you click a mouse button, either something's exploding or you're getting something really sweet as a result.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
It's kind of like the constant reward system. That's how Diablo works, and that's one of the reasons it's so successful. It's because every action you do feels like, yes, something great is happening as a direct result of me clicking on this mouse. So let me buy 10 mouses and just click all day, kind of thing.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's basically how it works. I think that is a big part of it. Another thing too that I really like about the Diablo franchise is that it is in the sense that you can really pick it up and put it down, and you can play it at your own leisure. It's really very casual in that sense. You can spend 15 minutes with it and that's it. Where there's so many, specifically other Blizzard titles that I play. When I play StarCraft, you sit down for a StarCraft match, you don't know how long it's going to be. And if you care about your ranking at all, which you could say, just don't care about it and quit. But I don't see many people quitting the game mid-game. You sit down for one game and you're there for the duration of that game, especially MMOs like Warcraft or any MMOs rather. Such a heavy time investment, and certainly you can put a lot of time into Diablo, but it isn't required. You can sit down for 5. If you have 5 minutes before you have to run out the door, you can be like, all right, well, let me kill some more monsters, see if I get something before I have to leave.
Yeah, right.
That's
you can't just as opposed to just playing one more game of StarCraft, that's not going to happen.
Right, exactly. So in that sense, in terms of time commitment required to actually enjoy something. And that's the other big part of it. That to actually accomplish something and enjoy something for Diablo, you can sit down for 5 minutes and you could get a Stone of Jordan and be like, yes, awesome, it was worth it.
Yep.
I'm glad. And then that's all you've been thinking about all day, no matter what you're doing. But that's definitely a big part of it. With that said, though, something I would say that I feel like is missing from an RPG. Like Diablo is kind of the sense of immersion, and again, I'm going back specifically to the recently released Skyrim. There's a real lot of immersion in a game like that, simply because of all of the options you have with your character and the decisions you make and everything like that. Did you? I mean, I don't think you haven't played much Elder Scrolls, but do you know much about Fallout, or have you played Fallout much at all?
Is Fallout the one where you can choose to do different stuff, and if you can help some lady, and if you don't, you basically nuke a town or something like that? Or is that BioShock or one of the two games?
Well, yeah, Fallout's basically a post-apocalyptic game. So just think
and you basically stuff happens in the game, and you can decide whether or not you want to say save somebody or kill somebody.
Yeah, and that's the type of we have a lot of randomization, of course, in Diablo, but in these open RPG games like Skyrim, like the Elder Scrolls series, and like Fallout, you can just kind of do what you want, and you can go where you want. And sure, there's a set piece, and sure, Diablo has the level layout randomization, but I feel like for all the great things that Diablo has, it also lacks that real deep immersion that I'm getting with Skyrim, and that I've enjoyed with other open RPGs like that. You know, choosing if you want to pickpocket someone, steal something from their house, break into their house by lockpicking the front door, murder townspeople, and all these things have direct results. Just earlier today when I was playing Skyrim, cast a spell in the middle of town, and all of a sudden, boop, there's a bounty on my head. I'm like, oh crap! And then this chick runs up with like a with like a bread roller and starts banging me over the head. Like, get out of my town, you're crazy spell casting wizard. Like all this, like there's just these ridiculous things as a direct result of your action, and those kind of things are really enjoyable. And while Diablo doesn't have that, like we said, it does have its definitely big benefits. I don't know. I mean, you're not really you don't play those type of games. You're like I don't know, Blizzard games and shooters. So
yeah,
but
basically. And for me, Call of Duty is Activision, so I mean it's still under the whole Activision Blizzard. You see what I did there?
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I played Resident Evil, but I played like there's a 2-player co-op. I played that with my girlfriend, so I mean that was fun.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like I'll play Street Fighter, but I don't know. I used to play like Zelda back in the day because that was awesome. But I don't know. Nowadays, I just kind of I prefer the multiplayer kind of a thing.
Right.
That's kind of why I mean Diablo 3. I'm looking forward to Diablo 3. I mean Skyrim, you said was single player only.
Right. Yeah.
Which is kind of why I feel like maybe you have that kind of immersion, because for example in Diablo 3, if you have townspeople wanting to kill you and then you partner up with somebody that the townspeople want to praise, how's that going to work? Because you're in the same party, people are going to be confused as hell.
Right.
So I don't know. That's maybe one of the trade-offs that you have to give when you're doing a multiplayer game. But I mean, at the same time, Diablo 3 has a pretty sweet storyline. Diablo has a great history and lore behind it. I'm hoping Diablo 3 storyline is the same way.
Yeah. Oh no, it's certainly very engaging, but I wouldn't say it's as immersive.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean,
I see. Yeah.
And with that said too, I mean we made specific mention of it. It is also a different type of RPG, an action RPG as opposed to an open world RPG.
Right. Okay.
But again, we just kind of wanted to weigh out why do we like this over that. But we love Diablo. I can't wait for this game.
Diablo.
I'm gonna spend so much time playing this game. It's gonna be unbelievable. Actually, no, it's fully believable. I believe it. I'm telling you right now. I'm going to spend a lot of time playing. So there you go. And I guess with that said, we kind of shared our thoughts and opinions. If you guys want to, let us know in the comments below. What do you like about Diablo? Why do you enjoy the series over other RPGs? And we didn't spend much time into it, but even over like MMOs, what do you like about a game like Diablo as opposed to any type of other RPG that is available? And God, the one thing I can't stand is turn-based games. That's just like I was just thinking what are there any other type of RPGs that I'm missing? Yeah, there's turn-based, and those drive me nuts. I can't.
Hey, isn't Pokemon considered?
It seems so boring to me. It's just not my. I don't know. I'm not.
No, you can't honestly say you've never played Pokemon.
You know what? I can honestly say that. I'm sorry.
No, you can't.
I can't.
You're lying to me.
No, I'm serious. I played Magic the Gathering, but no Pokemon. I'm sorry.
Not even on the Game Boy?
Not even on the Game Boy.
You're a loser.
Yeah, well, that's all right.
You're a loser for not playing Pokemon.
So yeah, let us know in the comments below what you like about Diablo or what you don't like about Diablo when compared to any other type of RPG that you may play. And with that, that's going to wrap up the major topics. We will just be grabbing a few questions from you guys in the community, pulling those from Twitter and or Facebook. Speaking of which, I should probably open up the page so I know what I'm looking at. And
it looks like we actually got a bunch more questions.
Yeah, so we'll pull out a couple. Let me take a look here. Grab a couple from Twitter here first, and then if you want to grab one or two from the Facebook page.
Sure.
So first question here from Twitter, coming from Thunderclaw, asking what happens to Collector Edition dies when hardcore characters die while holding them. I'm under the assumption, basically, that with the collector dies, they're going to just have some way to permanently attach to... Well, they did say that it's going to be permanently attached to your count. So...
Right, so you can hot swap them between characters. You can use them as many times as you want. They don't disappear.
Right. So my thought is, they obviously have to have a way to give it to you in game. So maybe it just comes default in your stash. I
kind of have a question though, because how do you get it between hardcore and softcore characters? You have two different stashes, two different auction houses. No way to interact between the two of them.
Well, I think my assumption is going to be that every time you start a new hardcore character, it is in your stash. So it doesn't matter if you lose one, because you just make another one and you have the dies and for those who don't know, when you buy the collector's edition of Diablo 3, there are specialty dyes that are going to come with it, armor dyes, and maybe you don't.
Yeah, it's smoked, cloudy, and actually I think that's it.
Yeah.
Smoky and cloudy.
So,
and then you also get the Tyrael wings.
So the thing that seems to make the most sense to me, in terms of what would logistically work, would be you make a new character, the dyes are in your inventory, and there you go, problem solved. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, okay, I guess inventory would work. I mean, for shared stash, you have to think about, okay, what happens if the shared stash is full. Then what do you do? I mean, I don't know, because, I mean, as far as I'm aware, they do take up inventory space because we can, dyes drop and we have to pick them up and, grab them in our inventory. I don't know, who knows? Maybe they bring back the talisman and let us use dyes for that or something. I don't know. But, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's a question. It's a good question.
Yeah.
Definitely a good question.
Yeah, but either way, they're going to have some way to have it permanently on your account. I mean, this is part of the perk of buying the collector's edition. It's not just going to disappear forever. You expect hardcore characters to die, so that wouldn't make any sense for that to ever happen.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, especially they're not allowing hardcore characters access to the real money auction house, so I can't imagine them saying, here, pay an extra $40 for the collector's edition so you can have these cool items, and then die and then have you lose the items. I mean, the whole point for them not allowing hardcores using the real money auction house is that they don't want you to waste money. Right. So I can't see them saying, hey, don't waste money here, but waste money here. It doesn't make sense to me.
Right. All right, and
figure something out.
I'm going to take one more question here. This one is actually coming from the Facebook page. It looks like the first question. The guy was right on the ball there, asking about extra beta keys. And at the moment, of course, we don't have any. There would be a giveaway if if Kevin had extra keys, if I had extra keys, there'd be a giveaway somewhere for them. That's basically that's my intention, at least. If I get any more keys, they're just going straight into a giveaway. Really have no idea whether or not Blizzard intends on giving more keys to fan sites and or influencers, which is technically what I'm known as, Blizzard influencer.
I guess I'm technically an influencer now too.
That's right, yeah. Although EG is considered, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyways, not sure whether or not they plan to give out more beta keys. I would say it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, patch 5 just came out. They just gave out a couple hundred on their Facebook page. I want to say that maybe they should be giving out some soon. And again, we're expecting some kind of patch for the auction house, the real money auction house.
Exactly.
So a major patch of that. Obviously, they want to get as many people in testing that as well because. I mean, again, they don't want that crashing or having any problems with that, especially since it's real money. So, I mean, I don't know. I would like to say that they're going to want to stress test that and invite a bunch more people. But again, I mean, it's probable. We just don't know.
Yep. All right, you got any questions there from the Facebook page?
Yeah, I actually have one that kind of goes along with what we were talking about earlier. Aaron wants to know, is a melee Demon Hunter viable? And I want to say that, yeah, it should be completely viable, especially now that they changed Impale to a non-bow skill. You can pretty much just throw a throwing knife or a dart or whatever the hell it is, and you just toss it and kill people, and it generates hatred. So now you never have to worry about having resources depleted. So, I mean, it's a great way to balance the resource system between a Demon Hunter that does not use bows, whereas a Demon Hunter that does use bows.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's definitely possible. I just got to figure some way out how to do it.
I think something else that people may not realize when they look at the skills at face value is that you should take a look at all the runestone effects as well, because there could very well be something that, like, initially is a bow attack, all of a sudden it turns into like an axe attack or like an AoE out of nowhere that doesn't require bows whatsoever. So the idea in terms of what Blizzard is doing is we've got these baseline abilities and spells for each of the characters, but with the runestones, various runestone combinations, you can make whatever character you want on whatever class you want. So you can make a melee wizard. I don't know if you can make a caster or barbarian.
That'd be awesome.
But still, I mean, there are a lot of like earthquake and stuff like that, and Call of the Ancients. All these abilities are magic in essence. They're not physically you hitting something with a weapon. So you could do something kind of weird like that. But yeah, the idea, what Blizzard is trying to make it so that you can do what you want with your character. Period.
I mean, the whole thing about Diablo is that builds don't have to be the best. They don't have to be optimal. They have to be viable. Right. So as long as you can find a viable build to stay alive and kill shit, it should work.
Yep. All right. You got another one?
I like this one for Andrew. What is the meaning of life?
Well,
Play Diablo.
We'll tell you when Diablo comes out. We'll let
Yeah, right.
we'll let you know.
What were the ones that we did this one for Mick earlier. Do you think that they made passives to be defensive? I mean, I'm going to say that there are probably defensive passives, yes, but not all of them are defensive. And, you know, on the same end, on the opposite end of the spectrum, not all of them are offensive. They're kind of just balanced. A passive is a passive. It doesn't have to be defensive or offensive. It really all depends on how you look at it. For example, let's say something adds arcane power. Is that defensive because it saves your life, or is that offensive because it allows you to chug through monsters faster, you know?
Mm.
So, I mean, it's a balance between the two. I will say that.
Yeah, I agree. I'll agree with that.
Do we have any questions?
I don't know. Let me check. Let me check one more. I think I saw one over here that looked pretty decent. All right, this one from someone. What do you think if they allowed people free skill swapping in normal, and then they add the Nephilim altar only into the harder difficulties? Would that solve the skill swap problem? Something that I had actually thought about with that, initially, was maybe if they did something like that they made it so that you can skill swap early on until you get a feel for what you want, and then as you move into the later difficulties, add some sort of restriction. But I don't think that would solve the problem. Just delay it. You know, it's because that's true. It's the same thing. An idea that I really liked actually was basically making it so that there's a cooldown on skill swapping. So you can do it on the fly, but you can do it. You know, if you swap a skill, you have to wait 5 minutes before you do it again or something.
I don't know about that. It may sound great, but I mean, let's say I accidentally pick, or I don't know. Let's say I don't know anything and I just pick some ridiculous. I don't know. Maybe I pick 3 mantras as a monk, you know, and now I'm stuck with absolutely no spells and just a couple of cool little buffs. I don't know, and now I have to wait 5 minutes before I could change that. I don't really know if I agree with that. Again, I would really prefer if they just added a combat system to detect whether or not you're in combat. I mean,
Kevin, stop telling them to delay the game by 10 more years.
You know what? Okay, well, what's next? Are they gonna not let us equip items when we're in combat?
I think so.
Because what if I want to have my item thing open and I want to pick up loot while I'm in the middle of killing stuff and I want to equip it?
It's too bad.
Well, why don't they just, what are they gonna do? They're gonna add like a Nephilim lockbox, and I have to go to that in order to change my items? I mean, I don't know. I feel like
they're gonna give
they solved one problem by causing another.
Yeah, I think their plan is to just put a chastity belt on on our abilities, and we have to
for the male classes as well.
We have to find the key. Yes, of course. Sorry, you can't even go to the bathroom. I guess that's happening. All right, well, I think that's pretty much gonna cut it there.
I think we should stop there.
I don't know. I think if we went any further, it'd just be bad news. So, well, thanks for watching, and this is literally the second time we did the podcast today. And I feel like how many times has this happened to us?
I don't know, probably 2 or 3. That was why we started doing them live from then on. And
then it was failing, and I'm trying something, and I hope that this works, and I hope this gets up on the internet so people can see it. Besides watching the live stream, we'll see. I've got my fingers crossed. I think we'll be all set. But anyways, I don't know, man. It's whatever. It was good though. I think we had some good discussion.
Yeah,
second go around. So
yeah, right. It let me reflect on it from the last time we talked.
Right. Sorry you're sick. Oh well. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Of course, stay tuned next week for another episode of DiabloCast, and feel free to hop on over to my channel, check out the Skyrim Let's Plays we got going on. And Kevin, we're still waiting to see some stuff from UNEG, right? That's still in the works.
Yeah, it's official. We just haven't launched anything yet. I'm kind of waiting on some stuff. Pretty much just planning right now. I've got some pretty cool stuff that we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we ever announced it on here. I'm no longer the administrator on Diablo Fans. I left Diablo Fans. Going to be doing like video content stuff for Evil Geniuses, a Pro SC2 and WoW and whatever team.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, I mean, and we're going to continue doing the DiabloCast. That's not a problem.
Super important.
Definitely. So I mean, yeah. Force, Dennis, and I will both be doing a little bit different stuff, so definitely check both of us out. And I mean, we'll keep you updated when stuff happens.
All right, guys. Thanks again for watching. For Kevin, this has been Dennis, and we will see you next time.
Take it easy, guys.
Ugh, it's over.
I'm actually really happy we didn't use the same crappy jokes the second time around.
Really?
I don't know. I feel like we definitely talked about some different stuff this time.
That's good.
Yeah. Like I said, it gave me a chance to reflect on what we talked about earlier.
We didn't use the same crappy jokes. We used new crappy jokes.
Different crappy jokes.
Yes, absolutely.
What can I say?